Hi YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and this is Outsiders, and welcome back. This is another mailbag programme this week. Yeah, it's Friday night, it's late in the UK, it's 10:30 at night. My baby daughter was born this morning at 9:30. I've had a long day, it's been tough, but I'm home, but my wife is still in hospital. Obviously I can't stay in, but everything has gone well. Baby Paige was born, as I say, 9:30 this morning, weighing £7 too. So all well. Thank you very much for the messages, and thank you very much. And it's really actually I'm quite grateful actually for this question. It's a brilliant question. It's very involved, and it's from a guy called Towerguard DM. Thank you for that. His name's Win. Win, brilliant question. It deserves a mailbag programme purely because it's brilliant. It made me want to get the video camera out tonight and actually do this for you, because it actually answers some of your question by me being this determined, to be honest. Win's got three problems. He's explained them very well. But problem one is about progression. He says that meeting only once per month gave me some urgency to where I felt the need to reward the players at a faster pace, and I dropped certain necessary elements out of the sessions. The side effect of this decision was, in some ways, it cheapened the gaming experience for everybody. Seeking a healthy balance here still, I realise that role-playing isn't a race, but I also find that meeting once per month, progression suffers. Players have responded both ways. Too fast, it cheapens things for them. Too slow, they begin to subconsciously find excuses to not even bother to meet. It seems to quickly fall into the why bother category. They're great friends of Win's, and they've been playing for many years. So we discuss this as adults. Obviously they've got responsibilities. We consider ourselves lucky to meet once a month. Yeah and no. Yeah, I do agree. You know, I do understand work-life balance and everything else, but it's all about priorities. How important is role-playing to them? Now, it's important enough for them to want to turn up once a month, but if you reward them the proper way, they say, oh, it's too slow. Well, hang on a minute. Yeah, it's now only once a month, and you know, that's not right, is it? It's a game. Now, you're obviously putting your heart and soul into it, but you're only able to get them together once a month. It's not possible to squeeze out a second session somewhere, so at least you get 2 sessions a month. And if that's the case, if they won't squeeze a second session in there, I mean, twice a month isn't a huge commitment of time. You could say it is. We've all got jobs to lead. I'm no different to anybody else. I've got a job, I've got a wife, I've got a family, I've got kids, I've got 101 commitments. I'm all over the country. I still find time to do the videos for YouTube. I still find time to run 3 groups. I make that time for everybody. Yeah, at times it's tough, but if I don't make that time, then things would suffer. So the reality is, for your players, is really simple. Really, is it a priority of theirs? It's a priority enough for them to say that when you reward the experience really accurately, it's too slow, the progression. But when the shoe's on the other foot, it's you know, when the shoe's on the other foot and you cut a few corners, the experience is great, but it then cheapens the whole thing. You can't win. So it's either squeeze a second session in, or, to be honest, run it your way. Now, I know you want it to reach the upper echelons. You know, you want your games to feel the full force of it. But I'm afraid you've only got 2 ways you can handle this, really, haven't you? You either run it slower so that you don't cut the corners, because otherwise your game will suffer. But then, of course, it's too slow progression. Or actually, you get a system where it's much shorter shots. So something like a Cthulhu, or some of the superhero type games, or some of the more modern sci-fi, or some of the more modern Western games. Something that you like, that you can do as a cheaper slot, or you can make go further. If you meet once a month but it's a good long session, that's not too bad actually. So maybe you can meet once a month and have a longer session. That's where I'm really going with this, is really simply either try and squeeze another session in, or run the game 100% properly, or find a system that's going to work best for this format, because currently whatever system you're using, it sounds like you're running it in D&D, maybe Pathfinder 3, it's not going to work like this because it's too disjointed for starters. So that's the first thing. Problem 2, and I hope that helps. Problem 2 is playing with other groups with the same limited time issue. I know that I desire to play more often than once per month. I would like that to happen with the same group rather than playing 3 different groups who only meet once per month. That is the situation I'm finding myself in. Instead of getting more playtime in, I find I've tripled the hassle of trying to navigate the schedule issues as well as slow progression issues. I've noticed you mentioned that you play in 3 different groups, 10, 15 and 20 years plus. I was on how to handle this specific limited time issue. I don't have limited time. I mean, that's the reality. I don't have limited time. I make sure that I balance it for everybody. Everybody gets a couple of sessions in a month, and they're good sessions. And because of my DMing style, we get a lot done. I keep the pace, the momentum of the game running high. I know what you mean by cutting corners, though. I mean, sometimes you have to cut a little, but it's not at the expense of the experience. Now, you know, there are ways to cut corners. Stop the preamble, keep it really short. You can cut out the chatter amongst the group a little, but you still got to keep the fun. So it's finding ways that work well, running the initiative system in a really slick way to speed time up, knowing you really have to prepare well, because that, funny enough, helps you run a very, very quick game, knowing the ins and outs. And sometimes, you know, you may have to actually think about what you've written and say, if I run it this way, if I allow it to be run that way, it's going to drag on for 3 or 4 sessions. So you need to find clever ways to actually create the same situation but in less time, to make it fun for all and still not skipping a beat. It's a bit of a skill, actually. That's one way you can go about it. So again, I hope that sort of answers. I don't really see it as an issue, because I prioritise to get the time in, and I'm very good at getting the best out of the time that I have. And that's probably what you've got to focus on with this situation, is if you've got these 3 groups, is really get the best out of it by deciding on the system you're going to use that's going to allow you to maximise your time around the gaming table, and cutting out the chatter. So make sure your players are fully up to date. You know, okay, if you're only going to meet once a month, make sure they know what's gone on. Send out a little newsletter to them, yeah, just to update them what happened, on what's going to happen next. So everybody's on page. And if they can't be bothered to read it, you've got a bit of a problem with your players. So you need, you know, that's what I'd start thinking about. The third problem that Win has is other dynamics that appear in this issue, such as, for me personally, the pace of the game is much too slow for my particular preference, and I usually have quite a few campaigns in the works. I'd like to run different systems to get all of them. When playing once per month, I find myself as DM I find myself devolving as a DM just so we can move along a bit quicker and the game unravels. By the time the players reach about 5th level content I have prepared, I'm ready to switch over to another system and campaign over the wing, as I will see that I see it will be years before we can get the content I wrote for the team plus levels. The number one reason I get to these is just to get together and these guys at the same time. I do like to enjoy the fruits of my labour. Well, I totally understand that, Win. I mean, I think your problem, although you've mentioned it's 3 problems, is all the same issue really rolled into one, isn't it? You know, bottom line here is to get the most out of it, you need a system that's slick, fast and pacey. Cthulhu can do that for you. I wrote Outsiders, so if you like fantasy games, I love what I did with the Outsiders, and if that would help, I'd share that with you. I don't know if it will, but I'd happily share it with you. So I think about a system that's going to really be quick, fun to play. Dragon Warriors, great system, really quick, really good fun. Love it, actually. It's really good, and it would really work because you get a lot done in a session. But that's what you've got to do, is maybe come away from what you're used to doing, because that works fine. You know, I'd be the first to admit, Pathfinder, great system, but you need a good run in it, and you don't want to have too much time in between. A couple of weeks is about the max, I think. Any more than 2 weeks, and continuity issues become a big, big problem with. So, sorry if I whipped on for you. It's been an exciting day for me. I wanted to cover your letter off because you took the time to write a really big letter out to my channel. I wanted to thank you in person for doing that, and I hope in some ways this has helped. Now, I'm just going to very quickly recap. Problem 1, try and work a way out to get more time out of your session where you can meet more than once, and if you can't, find a system that's going to squeeze the maximum out of it and cut down various things within your system. Use your skills to filter out the rubbish that's not important elements, yeah? Not important elements. Get players to roleplay, not roll dice. That's absolutely key. Problem 2, you know, when playing with other groups, you know, how do you actually find, you know, how do you actually navigate the schedule issues? Well, you know, scheduling issues not a problem. I always, you know, set the ball up long in advance to get one of my players does all the phoning for me. We always say every 2 weeks we stick to what we do. If players can't make it, tough. You know, bad luck on you. I'm running it anyway. And that works because people either want to come or they don't, and that's what you find out really quick. So be quite tough, quite fair. If your game's good and you stick to your principles, I promise you players will stay with you. So anyway, listen everybody, I've been Sean Connors. This has been Outsiders. I will be doing more videos. I'll find a way to get them in because I'm not going to let my family schedule get in the way of what we're doing at the moment in the community. Thank you for all your support. Take care of yourselves. Happy gaming.